Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivillo.
And this is Ronelyn Vailoces.
And you are watching #Silliman. For Silliman updates,
we would like to congratulate our newly registered professionals for the past 3 months. They passed the licensure examinations for physical therapists, nurses, engineers, teachers, doctors, agriculturists, and medical technologists. Congratulations on a job well done. Of course, we would also like to congratulate the parents and faculty. Without their support and efforts, this would have not been possible.
Wow, congratulations, guys. Ronelyn, the Silliman spirit is very enthusiastic, embodying this competence, character, and faith. Our second news bite for this episode is we'd like to acknowledge our students, J. Louis Harbonido from the College of Education and Enzo Miguel Co from the Senior High School Department, who were named as the 2021 mga Bagong Rizal Pag-asa ng Bayan awardees. Also, a female ROTC cadet from the university named Sophie F. Rodrigazo received the AFP ROTC Cadet of the Year Award for 2021 during the 86th AFP anniversary. Wow! Please know that Silliman community is all proud of you guys.
How impressive! So if you want a well-rounded education, you will never go wrong with Silliman University. Meanwhile, the enrollment is ongoing and classes will start on February 7, 2022. The portals of Silliman University are waiting for you.
So guys, see you in our Seoul classrooms.
Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine program that talks about the different aspects of Silliman University.
A program initiated to discuss matters concerning the campus by the sea.
Welcome.
You're watching #Silliman. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of #Silliman. And we are so blessed and we're so honored to introduce our resource speakers or guests for our first episode tonight. So to start with, we have the Vice President for Academic Affairs. We have Dr. Earl Jude Paul Cleope. Sir, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And of course, it is my pleasure to introduce to you one of the speakers of our guest speakers for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our Vice President for Development, Professor Jane Annette Belarmino. Okay, let's keep the ball rolling, Joshua. This question is addressed to Dr. Cleope.
Right. So, good evening, Dr. Cleope. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, sir.
It's my pleasure. Good evening.
So, sir, can you please take us back to the onset of the pandemic? How did it all started, and how did it affect our university and its operations?
Well, of course, we are now on our almost going on the 3rd year of the pandemic. And of course, if you remember, the first recorded casualty of the pandemic was actually in Dumaguete when that Chinese couple from Wuhan visited the city, and then of course, you now have the pandemic. We were really very, very worried. But at the same time, because of the establishment of the Silliman University COVID Crisis Committee, we were actually it was God's will that we were kind of ready. In fact, the infrastructure for challenging the impact of COVID was actually prepared 2 or 3 years earlier. And so when COVID happened, our issuances and memorandum that guided the students and the operations of the university were quite, I would say, advanced. If we take a look at all the memoranda that was issued, we were quite responsive and relevant because we declared that students should stop and all the requirements will have to be flexible. And that's the reason why prior to the what we call as the declaration of all these lockdowns, MECQ, ECQ, and things like that, the students were already out of harm's way because they already were able to go home to the areas. And of course, subsequent issuances and guidance by the SU COVID Crisis Committee, the administration, in consultation with the faculty and staff, and the student government and the student council, we were able to hurdle, despite the initial assumption that there's going to be a decrease in enrollment, but thank God we did okay in the 2 years of the pandemic, going on to its third year.
All right, so that I think that's a very wonderful preparation, Dr. Cleope, given that the pandemic really shook everybody, the academic institutions, business establishments, basically all of us, right? So at the moment, Dr. Cleope, what are the programs now and efforts made by the university to cater the needs and assist our students, faculty, and even staff?
Basically, the first thing that we had, we prepared. And as I've said earlier, we were quite thankful that the university invested on this 3 to 4 years back, was the soul, what we call as the Silliman online university learning. This really answered the problem of the pandemic because we had a learning management system that was able to really what we call as offer online distance learning, and all the things that are needed are built into that system. And then after that, because nobody was an expert in ODL,
right?
Yeah.
We made guidelines, and now it's gonna be a handbook of online distance learning. And of course, we actually were amongst the first higher educational institution in the region and even in the country that applied for the limited face-to-face despite the pandemic, because we really think that the first programs that will have to really be doing face-to-face are the programs that should answer the issues or the problems of the pandemic. So I am referring to the allied health programs and the medical program. And that's the reason why, despite these alert level 3 and all these things, all these programs are now having their limited face-to-face. And a lot of things, we actually had a lot of massive trainings, upskilling, in-skilling of all the faculty so that they will be able to handle the ODL. And at the same time, now we are focused more on the assessment, on how to really make the assessment relevant to the pandemic. That will also include the fine-tuning of strategies for the delivery of online, and this time flexible and blended learning, as we also prepare for the limited face-to-face.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Cleope. And of course, it is my honor to introduce also to you one of our esteemed guests for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our very own Vice President for Development, Professor Jane Annette Belarmino. Let's give her a round of applause. Good evening, Ma'am Jane.
Good evening, ma'am.
So my question is that, what were the problems that we encountered during the pandemic, and how did the university address those problems and needs concerning our faculty and staff?
Well, the pandemic is an ongoing thing. There are new changes in IATF regulations,
Right.
there are new
Yeah.
cases, and there is the hesitance of faculty and staff to be vaccinated, and now you have confusion about traveling in and out of the campus, entering the campus. So all this had really to be clarified. So the COVID Crisis Committee regularly gave updates to our faculty, staff, and students so that they will be guided. And the COVID Crisis Committee, headed by Dr. Walden Ursos, also went through an information drive to inform and educate our faculty, our staff, and our students about vaccination. Is
Correct.
it really safe? How many doses? What are the symptoms? What to do when you get sick? And because of that, we are very happy to say that a large percentage now of our faculty and staff are fully vaccinated. And about 50% already got their booster shots. And as we continue to also remind them to avail of the booster shots by the government. So it's really the information drive that has helped us address all this confusion and all these theories about the pandemic and about vaccination.
Right. So, unfortunately, despite, aside from the pandemic, recently we were also hit by a natural calamity, and that was Typhoon Odette. No, international name is Typhoon Rai. So, I would also like to ask our Vice President for Development here, how did the university respond to the needs of our students, even to other members of the Silliman community, right after when Typhoon Odette hit Negros
Yes.
Oriental?
Let me take you back first to around 2013 or 2014, when the university established this Continuing Calamity Response Program. So the Continuing Calamity Response Program is the university's way of helping those who were affected by the typhoon, especially our faculty, our staff, and our students. Prior to the arrival of Typhoon Odette, we made a call to our faculty and staff and some students and informed them that should they wish to evacuate, we have identified certain buildings on campus where
Right.
they can evacuate and they can stay there safely until the storm passes. So right after Typhoon Odette, we had a meeting, and the student government was also there, and they started this, what you call the Silliman initiative
Right.
for Typhoon Odette. So the initiative is composed of the Silliman government, the student government, faculty and staff, students under one umbrella. So we started now our relief efforts, because the CCRP has three components. The first component is disaster relief. The second is tuition assistance to our students. And the third component is psychosocial processing of those
Yeah.
affected by that typhoon. So we made a call for donations in cash and in kind. And even until now, we are still receiving cash donations. So on the 20th, before Christmas, we made 2 trips to the northern part of the province. Okay.
And so you mentioned a while ago, ma'am, about the psychosocial processing initiative of Silliman University. Are we calling for volunteers, and
Yes.
who are, eligible to volunteers? Do they need to have a bachelor's degree on psychology, or?
No. We made a call for volunteers, and I think the crucial requirement is that they must be at least 18 years old.
Right.
Okay, they are fully vaccinated. And they need not be psychology graduates, because we had a training for first-time volunteers, and we retrained those who volunteered before. So our psychosocial team also worked with the North Negros District Conference and also we're also reaching out to other schools so that we can have a concerted psychosocial effort,
Yeah.
and there will be no duplication in terms of area.
That's a wonderful initiative, no? So aside from the relief operation that Silliman University did help, we are now in the process of what we call rehabilitation. So I'd like also to go now to Dr. Cleope in terms of academic affairs. So what did the Silliman University admin also plan to, help our students, especially those who were really badly hit by the typhoon, no internet connectivity, no power connection? Sir?
When Typhoon Odette struck the province and the Visayan Islands, we were also victim ourselves.
Yeah.
And but despite that, we made it sure that by December 20, a memo was issued that, because that was the time when we had our final exams week, and also the deadline for requirements and all the other, requirements of the courses. And so by December 20, we issued a memo that extended the deadline for the final exam and the requirements. And while we were doing this, we were also doing a lot of consultation. The unit heads were consulting with their faculty and their student council. And I was also in coordination with the student government leadership in trying to assess what's really happening. I'm very, very thankful that in their own way, the student councils were able to have their own tracing of the members of, the students who were affected, the faculty. And so with this, I convened a special meeting of the Dean's Conference to treat this. And so with the approval of the university president, we also reset the opening of classes, reset the opening of everything. Even the enrollment was extended. And so with the original opening of classes on January 17, due to, and of course to be responsive to the problems of connectivity, the problems of power, and all the problems associated with Typhoon Odette. That's why February 7 now is the new opening of classes, and of course in coordination with our finance division, there's a substantial discount, or not discount, but a kind of the entrance payment is now
The down payment.
The down payment is also lowered, and even the surcharges for non-payment that was scheduled in December were also waived. So, and of course, the last and the thing that we really did, just for not for Odette but for the typhoon as well, is as we prepare for the eventual face-to-face interaction between students and the teachers, we now have a complete list as ascertained by the units of what really are the subjects that really need face-to-face, so that when everything will be all right, then preparations will now jumpstart for the face-to-face engagements.
Okay, so my question is there a possibility, Dr. Cleope, that we will have a face-to-face classes by the next school year? But hold on to that answer, because #Silliman will be right back after a short break.
Hello everyone, I'm Steph from the Silliman University Corps of Campus Ambassadors, welcoming you all to the Campus by the Sea, Silliman University. Here in Silliman University, the classroom isn't the only place we learn in. Guided by our 5 C's, we experience learning in the church, classroom, community, court, and in our different cultures. Since the beginning, Silliman's 5 C's have always given us different venues and opportunities to learn. However, Silliman University is not only a place where we can learn. The people we meet and the beautiful campus makes it a place where we can also find our home away from home. Are you ready to experience Silliman University? Don't forget to visit, like, and follow Silliman University, as well as the Silliman University Corps of Campus Ambassadors on Facebook. And for more information on Silliman University, you can visit their website at su.edu.ph. Thank you, and have a great day.
And now we're back. So the answer that everyone has been waiting for will be answered by our very own Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Cleope.
So this is the answer. Last December 15, 2021, CHED finally issued the memorandum order. Actually, it's a joint memorandum order by CHED and the Department of Health that really detailed all the requirements for the opening of the face-to-face, at the same time the checklist that higher educational institutions in the country will have to, comply so that the face-to-face classes will become a reality. Now, having said that, then we had the surge because of, although you call that Omicron, but they would always say the Christmas-tron. And because of the holidays and all the the relaxation and easing of the protocols, we have the surge. But as I'm going to answer this, I'd like to put you into context. One, the grade 12 students who will be batch 2022 in Silliman have not been in the campus ever.
Right.
Yeah.
So they are all virtual students until they will finish. Number two, all the what we call as the first products of the K-12 of the new curriculum also had their stint of 4 years shortened by 2 years. So in other words, they're supposed to be the first products of all these new curriculums that started in 2018, and when they will graduate in 2022, half of that is virtual. That's the second. And the third, of course, is that all the incoming third year students had always been in the virtual world and have not seen Silliman since the start of their stay.
Right.
So in other words, if we factor all these together, if we will have our way, the administration, I think everybody really wants that face-to-face will happen. But as I've said, we are guided by these guidelines, and we are guided by the IITF, although they say that if it's level 3, all the previously approved will continue. But then again, we consider the residences, the abode of all our students who are not actually all from Negros, but they're all over the place. But of course, if this quarantine, RT-PCR, and all these restrictions will continue, it would be very difficult. That's the reason why it's so difficult to say with finality that we will have a face-to-face by the second sem. However, we will really try our best, because I gave you the context that hopefully, if all will be well, because we are trying to comply with the guidelines, the identified courses and subjects that by the faculty and staff that really need face-to-face will really have a face-to-face component. But by February, I probably can say, not this coming February. It's too early. Maybe in the last quarter, or safely, I would say, towards April, May, until June. We will really try our best that at least these identified subjects from first year up to fourth year, and of course, grade 12. And I don't know with grade 10 because DepEd has another order that we will. So we pray to God that things will be all right. Hopefully, we can have real face-to-face because, as we said, the allied health and the medical course is really having face-to-face. But soon enough, everyone, especially those who are enrolled in these identified programs, really can do face-to-face.
Right. So I think that is really something that we have to be updated from time to time, especially that changes are so unpredictable, so to speak. So Professor Belarmino, given these uncertainties and definitely extremely challenged, no? The pandemic, this Typhoon Odette, what are the forms of assistance that the university do provide to our students, you know, just to really make sure that we'll have this continuity as far as their education is concerned?
Yes. Part of the call for donations is to help to give assistance to the students. So the assistance is in two ways. We either defer the payment of their tuition fees, meaning to say if the deadline is at the end of the school year, we may defer it.
Give them more time.
Give them more time to pay and waive the surcharges. Or we can waive a portion of their tuition fees. Now, as donations are still coming in, and we hope that our audience would know that we are using this to help our students, we do not know yet the magnitude of how much really will be waived because applications are now ongoing and it goes through a vetting process.
Right.
For instance, we need to know how adversely affected the students were, the means of livelihood of the family, so that we can decide how much waiver we can give to the students. But definitely for those in the areas adversely affected by Odette, we will be giving some tuition fee assistance.
I think that's a very big help to our students. And speaking of assistance, Professor Belarmino, I'm sure the Silliman community and other stakeholders are very generous. So how and where can they probably channel their donations to?
We will reissue the call for donations. In the call on Facebook and in our website, we listed there the bank accounts of Silliman University. So the payee is Silliman University. You can pay through BPI and pay through Banco de Oro. You can also log into our Give Now Silliman online site.
Wow.
We now have an account with PayPal, which allows our donors to pay online. So the payee is Silliman University.
Right.
Yes.
So I hope everybody will visit our Facebook page. I think that's Silliman University to know more about the specific details.
You know, Josh, we have all been struggling because of this pandemic and the aftermath of the Typhoon Odette. Now, I would like to ask our VPs, what is your message or the things that you want to say to our audience? Pieces of advice, realizations. Let us start with Dr. Cleope.
Pieces of advice to our dear stakeholders, parents, friends, students, faculty and staff, and the whole Silliman community and friends of Silliman. The things that are going on are really beyond our control. Despite all this, of course, we are steadfast and true to who we are as an institution, founded on the tenets of the Christian faith. We are always hopeful and prayerful that there will be better days ahead. And despite of all these things that are going on, please be assured that the Silliman administration, the members of the faculty and staff, are doing their darnest best to really respond, because there are no experts, but we try to really make the operations relevant, at the same time affordable, at the same time efficient, and most importantly, also very responsive to the current problems of the day. And so, thank you for trusting Silliman, and rest assured that we will continue to guide you, and of course, always share to you what are the developments. And because of this program, new updates will always be given regularly. And of course, we'll probably guarantee, not probably, but we'll guarantee to you that our Silliman online learning, or we call it the SOUL, is so far the best answer to the problems of the pandemic. And soon, we will be doing the flexible and blended to really cater to all the things that were not answered by the online learning.
Yeah.
So I think that's my message to everyone.
Thank you very
Wonderful message.
much. Thank you very much, Dr. Cleope, for that assurance. Ma'am Jane?
Yeah. The foundation of God standeth sure.
Yeah.
God is faithful and has been faithful to Silliman all these 121 years. And we know that He will be with us also in the years to come. So we have to trust. We have to trust in His faithfulness and His protection over us as we continue to seek new ways to live the Via Veritas Vita for our faculty, our staff, our students, and our alumni and friends. So Silliman will be there for you.
Wow, wonderful message, Professor Belarmino. So, again, we would like to thank Dr. Earl Jude Paul Cleope, our Vice President for Academic Affairs, and Professor Jane Annette Belarmino, our Vice President for Development.
Thank you for having us.
So we have come to the last segment of our episode this Monday, and this is called #WTP, Words to Ponder. Ron, after all the conversations that we just had here, what do you think is your word to ponder?
You know, Josh, there's a lot of words that's coming into my head, and you know, this one really resonate my mind, and it's the word care.
Right.
The programs, the efforts, the initiatives of Silliman University, initiated by the university and participated by many people, are all rooted to this word. And I think we need that at this trying times. It is because, you know, indifference has no place these days. How about you, Josh?
Well, I think to me, the word is beginnings,
Yeah.
right? Because they say that in every beginning, there's always an end, but every end ushers a new beginning. So it's actually a cycle, and we always have to look forward to that new beginnings and believe in the magic of beginnings. Wow.
How inspiring, Josh. And that is all for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had with our two VPs.
And catch us every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. here in Channel 6 Field Products. And there will be a replay every Saturday at 2 p.m.
And for more updates, please don't forget to follow our Facebook page and YouTube account. And don't forget also to like, comment, and share.
So, see you next week here in
#Silliman.